Spirit Hounds.
Hello Houndlings, welcome to the first Halloween special of Spirit Hounds. The hounds that howl at midnight. It is said that every few centuries, when the moon hangs heavy over the marshes and the air smells of salt and rain, the same hound returns. The same cry splits the night. The same echo of something we were never meant to hear.
This Halloween on Spirit Hounds, we follow that sound across 500 years of British folklore to ask one question. What if the hound that howls at midnight has never left?
Case 1. The Black Shuck of Blythburgh. August the 4th, 1577. A storm rolls over the Suffolk coast, lightning tearing the sky open like parchment. As the storm rages, parishioners seek refuge inside St Mary's Church in Bungay and Blythburgh Church just 12 miles away. Inside St Mary's Church, villagers kneel in prayer, whispering psalms to drown out the thunder. And then, the door bursts open. A black dog, huge and dripping, rushes down the aisle. Its eyes burn like coals, its claws spark on stone. Moving with unnatural speed, it attacks several worshippers, leaving behind a smell of brimstone and causing panic amongst the congregation. And when it passes two men, they fall where they stand, dead. It was recorded locally thus: all down the church in midst of fire, the hellish monster flew, and, passing onward to the choir, he many people slew. The demon hound then ran off and attacked Blythburgh Church, killing and mauling more people.
They call it the Black Shuck, from the old Anglo-Saxon shucker, meaning demon. Some said it was the devil's hound, others whispered it was something older, a guardian forced to witness the sins of men.
When the storm passed, the villagers in both towns swore they still heard it. One long howl, rolling over the marshes, fading into the mist. The attack of the beast and the lightning storm resulted in significant damage to St Mary's Church, including the collapse of the steeple and the church clock being broken into pieces. And on the church door at Blythburgh were black scorch marks, as if some terrible spectral being had dragged its demonic claws along it. They are still there to this day. Case 2. The Postman's Hound, Victorian England.
3 centuries later, another sound haunted English nights. A postman's whistle, answered by footsteps he couldn't explain.
In 1894, a mail carrier on the road to Ely in Cambridgeshire told of a black dog that followed him every evening. It never barked, never strayed, just walked beside him, mile after mile, until the last turn home. Then it would vanish.
He said it felt like company, a quiet comfort in the dark, until one night when he whistled and the dog didn't come.
The next morning, his replacement found him lying by the roadside, his whistle still in his hand and paw prints pressed into the frost around him.
Maybe it wasn't a curse. Maybe it was a companion, one that finally walked him home.
Case 3. The Marshland Recording, present day. October 2023, Norfolk. Paranormal researcher Chris Fennick sets up a recorder near Dunwich, hoping to capture the mysterious midnight howl that locals have heard for generations.
For hours, nothing. Then, just after midnight.
That sound, not quite animal, not quite human. It shakes the reeds and then stops.
The next morning he finds no tracks, no sign of life at all, only one deep paw print in the mud, too large for any living dog.
Locals say it was the Black Shuck, returning after 500 years, but others think it's something stranger, an echo of loyalty that refuses to die.
Every legend we've told tonight, the Shuck, the Postman's Hound, the Marshland Howl, they share one truth. The dog isn't chasing the living, it's guarding the boundary.
Maybe that's what ghost dogs are. Sentinels of love and loyalty so strong they outlive their masters, protectors who refuse to move on.
Or maybe it's just a dog that doesn't know it's gone.
This Halloween, when you hear a bark in the dark, don't be afraid. Somewhere a faithful soul might still be standing guard.
If you've heard your own phantom hound, share your story. And remember, not every howl comes from the living. Deadly Night Nurse. It was over 20 years ago, and I was in hospital in London. I believe it was Hammersmith Hospital, although I had been in and out of so many during this time, it's hard to say, but I'm 90% sure it was Hammersmith. It was late at night. As I was due my procedure the next day, I was unable to sleep and feeling restless, so I put on my dressing gown and slippers and went for a walk just outside my ward. I remember how quiet it all seemed as I peeked out of a narrow open window to feel the fresh night air on my face and watch the rain pouring down past the street lamp. I also thought about how I'd rather be anywhere else than in the hospital. After some time I walked back to my ward. I think it was an older part of the building. As you would enter it, there was visible brick in place which looked very old. My bed was the first on the right as you entered. Beds were on either side of the room, probably no more than 20 if memory serves. The gentleman to my immediate right was in hospital for some major heart operation, booked in for the same day as I was due to go under the knife. He had his curtain drawn around him, and it was late, so I settled back into my bed. Bored, I decided to start playing patience with a deck of cards on my bed in front of me. There was no one about and all was quiet except for the snoring and breathing of other people. Then I noticed a woman come in the ward at the corner of my eye. A nurse. I watched as she walked in, and as she was passing the very end of my bed, she just stopped abruptly and turned her head to look at me. I looked into her eyes and felt suddenly very uncomfortable. I wasn't very old at the time, late teens, early 20s, and remember looking down at my cards rather than meet this woman's penetrating gaze. For a few thudding heartbeats, I was aware she was still stationary at the foot of my bed, just looking at me. She then walked away to my right, or drifted, as I cannot remember hearing footfalls. She was soon obscured from view by the curtain of my neighbouring bed. I listened for talking, but heard nothing, so I went back to finishing my card game. It was as I did this I remember thinking how odd the experience was. Why had she not said hello, or chastised me, or told me to go to sleep? Then another oddity struck me. Her uniform was very out of place. She had one of those old hats on that nurses no longer wore, even at that time 20 years ago. It was more like something you would see in a Carry On Doctor movie, which was made in 1967, and these were phased out from the 80s to the 90s, meaning it was unlikely to be seen then, so her uniform and demeanour definitely seemed off. Curiosity got the better of me, so I got up, put on my dressing gown, and went further down the ward. There was only the beds of the other sleeping patients, and no curtains were drawn completely, some just to obscure the view between neighbouring beds. Just these beds and a dead end. I could see no way that nurse could have left the ward again without passing me a second time. Was it a ghost? I am not sure, and as I faced surgery the next day and a long recovery, I just put a pin in the thought, but it has often come back to me over the following years. My experience isn't unique. There have been quite a few reports of ghosts of nurses seen in various London hospitals over the years, such as the following.
The Grey Lady of St Thomas's Hospital. Patients who have seen her claim they have mistaken her for a real person and attempt conversations with her, but then she suddenly vanishes into thin air. Others have reported that her legs seem to end abruptly at the knees. It is also said she mainly appears to patients who are close to death. Lizzie Church at University College Hospital in Camden. In the early 20th century, a young nurse named Lizzie Church administered morphine to one of her patients who was in great pain. Rumour has it this was her fiancé. Sadly, she gave him too much and he died of an overdose. Beside herself with grief, Lizzie hung herself in a hospital stairwell. Some patients have reported being cared for by a kindly young nurse wearing a uniform from a bygone age, and some doctors and nurses report feeling a cold hand when setting up IVs or giving their patients injections, almost as if she is ensuring they don't make the same fatal mistake she did. The Woman in Boots in Guy's Hospital. Patients report seeing a nurse wearing a 19th century uniform who occasionally places her hand on their shoulders to reassure them. Patients and staff also hear loud footsteps pacing up and down wards, but no one can be seen. The Grey Nun of Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital, Stanmore. A grey nun is said to be seen floating around the hospital. Nobody knows her identity, but the hospital was said to have been built on the grounds of a former nunnery over 115 years ago. And the nurse at Salvation Army Mothers Hospital in Hackney. Although now closed, former staff reported being tapped on the shoulder if they were feeling drowsy whilst on duty. Legend had it that a nurse had been bottle feeding a newborn baby, but had fallen asleep and slumped forward, smothering the baby. Overwhelmed with guilt, she took her own life, but her spirit was condemned to wander the wards, tapping nurses on the shoulder to keep them awake. Unsurprisingly, stories of hauntings in hospitals all over the country have been reported, although the NHS does not collect data on such findings, as they are more interested in the living. Have you ever experienced something supernatural in a hospital, either as a patient, visitor, or member of staff? If so, please share your story with us and we will read it out on future episodes of Spirit Hounds. You can email us at spirithounds@yahoo.com or message us on our Facebook page, which is Spirit Hounds Podcast. As we have heard tonight from Nicky's story and countless other reported incidents, hospitals hold more than patients. They hold memories, regrets, echoes, and sometimes they hold the dead. Thank you for listening to our first Halloween special edition of Spirit Hounds. We hope you enjoyed it. If you love chilling tales and eerie encounters, don't miss a single episode. Follow Spirit Hounds on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get your audio fix. From supernatural stories to forgotten folklore, we dive deep into the shadows with tales that linger long after the lights go out. Hit subscribe and let the hauntings begin.